Good afternoon and welcome to let's call it the 460th, I think that's what it is, episode of the Georgia Farm Bureau Georgia Prep Sports Drive for the GHSA State Title. What is it? 160th, I think. Yeah, 160th. I think the newsletter got it wrong a couple days ago, but we'll get it right. I'll look back. But we've got three great guests today. I think it's going to be a really interesting show. We're going to have Wheeler's head coach Bryan Love on. I've been so impressed with what they've been able to do since that 0-2 start. Specifically, their sophomore running back Josiah Allen. I mean, he's just having incredible games. He put up 344 rushing yards last week against Cherokee. I'm interested to see what the Wildcats are doing. And then we're going to have on Fitzgerald head coach Tucker Pruitt. And then to start off the show, Najeh Wilkins. He's been cranking out so much incredible content, and so we're just going to get right into it. Najee, you there?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So I told you yesterday, I mean, after my football playing career, I think I had so many injuries that when I see guys hurt, I don't even want to say the I word. It's like a superstition. But you actually caught up with a player that has just had such a phenomenal season. Sire Hardaware, Douglas County's quarterback, he obviously got hurt in that Hughes game, but it looked like he had some pretty good news just regarding that elbow.
Yeah, man, I got the chance to talk to him on my podcast. Like I said, make sure you guys follow me on Twitter at Najee Woke. A lot of great content on there. I got some more great content dropping today. But, yeah, man, he told me an injury update. He goes to see his doctor October 17th to hopefully get the cast off so his arm feels good. Pushing to be back October 21st in their game against East Paulding. So, obviously, fabulous news there. I think he's one of the best in the state. He was third in passing before the injury. Marquee matchup they had on TV, on Appreciate TV, more than 3-4 weeks back against Langston Hughes. They did lose, but the defense kept them in the game, and the defense has been balling. So, I really can't wait to see him back on the field again. Hopefully, he can kind of, drop back where he left off.
Absolutely. And I think that was so interesting, not only just seeing his overall attitude, but the way Douglas County has adapted. I mean, using Johnson at quarterback, transitioning more to a run team, dialing it up defensively, and just continuing to push on without him. I mean, that's just got to be a huge sign of what they're going to look like once Sayer's back there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the defense last game, either they shut them out or didn't allow a lot of points. And their defense, like Sire told me in the interview, has been playing very well. It's been very happy with what they've been able to do. Zachariah Keefe there on the edge. Sakai Woods, linebacker, sometimes play defensive line. Deuce Alexander on the back end. And then offensively, man, they have playmakers. We saw, Monte Gooden almost house a kick return in that game we saw. You got James Johnson as well, who's going to move back, obviously, receiver after Sire is back. Then you add Deuce Alexander on the offensive end as well. I mean, they just got playmakers all over the field. They can run the football as well. So, as Sire told me, that game hopefully they'll see them again in the playoffs against Langston Hughes is a kind of get-back game. So, I think their defense has led them, and they've depended on the rushing attack. And then they're just an aggressive team. Even in that game, we saw Johnny White, head coach for Douglas County, be aggressive. Onside kicks going for right out the gate, right out the halftime. Going for the fake punt, and pretty much converting his running back into fumble the ball. So, it's just I think a team is going to be very dangerous come postseason time, and obviously they got to get through this region schedule. And I think the toughest matchup would be against South Paulding, but I think overall they got to like where they are.
Yep, that's right. They got the onside kick. They convert a huge fake punt and then fumble after they picked it up. So just a couple things that maybe the ball doesn't bounce their way all the time, but that was obviously a great effort, great game plan. And I think that was what was so interesting about Sire, too, is just the way he talked about his growth this season after getting some action last year was he is so well prepared and confident in just understanding the opponents, knowing where his guys are, that he says the game's almost in slow motion to him once he gets out there. And, I mean, you can see it for sure.
Yeah, I think there's a difference. Sometimes you'll see players, you'll see confident and cocky. I mean, I think this guy is just confident and very humble. Very humble kid. He told me some of the things. He knows how to read coverages. He broke it down to me in the interview. If this team's going to run this cover 2 or cover 3, he knows what to go to. He knows who he needs to throw the ball to. His coach described him as a very smart, cerebral player, knows his film, can break down coverages. So, I mean, just a humble guy, and he doesn't get a lot of notice, man. He has no offers. and he's kind of almost overlooked in a sense. So happy with the exposure that he's starting to get, and hopefully, man, that'll lead to some offers down the line. And he's from Florida, and that's ideally where he wants to go for school. So hopefully, man, down the line he'll get a couple more offers come his way.
That's right. So he had mentioned, I think he's from Winter Haven. He wants to, I mean, his goal, dream school is UCF. He thinks that'd be a great fit. There are some schools looking at him, but that is an interesting situation to be in where he hasn't gotten the offers yet. He's getting some interest. He ends up missing a couple weeks. We know he's going to come back motivated and focused. And I just think that's what's so impressive with him. It's like he has these goals, but he's also realistic with it. He feels underrated, but he also is humble. I mean, he is really dialed in and focused.
Yeah, well said on your end. Dialed in, focused. He idols his game after Lamar Jackson, the quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens, saying we'd be like him. And he said even in the interview, he said things he needs to work on. And he was very he was critical of himself. At the same time, and said, hey, I think, I need to, work just pinpoint accuracy just a little bit more. I need to get a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, a little bit faster. So obviously it's a kid that takes the game very seriously, and he's not a kid that lets it go to his head. And I'll kind of ride with that. Just a kid, I asked him, when you go to school, how is it kind of balancing high school and, being a leader of your team and in football? And he said he completely separates football and school as two different things. He just wanted to be known as Cy Hardaway, the person, when he's in school. And, he's cool with everybody. Like he told me, the nerds, he loves to watch anime. It doesn't really matter to him whoever you are. He's going to still talk to you. You see a lot of kids let it go to their head and just they won't even talk to kids that try to reach out to him or whatever. He's not that kind of a guy. So I definitely respect him a lot, and I think he's a really great person and a really great player.
Yeah, I'd say Lamar Jackson, and honestly, he looks Steve Young-esque at some points, the way he's able to just be tough. And I mean, he was finishing some of those scrambles too. Obviously, he's a passer first, but the way he was fighting for yards and rushing touchdowns in some of these games definitely remind me of Steve Young. I thought another thing, you guys need to check out the interview, though. It was fantastic. I retweeted it. It's on Najeh's account. But he was talking about playing 2K. He said he sucks. I guarantee you, Sire, you could beat me in that game. I guarantee you that. I am not good. But they're going to be off this week as well as that entire region. So we talked about a little bit on Monday. This is just such a massive week for 7A specifically. You got a lot of teams in 5A, 4A, 3A are off this week. But 7A, there is so much action. So, I mean, let's just break this down region by region and look at it. Starting with Region 1, Colquitt County is going to open up region play. They were the only team that was off last week against a Camden County team that just beat Richmond Hill. And then you have, Lowndes playing the Florida game, but then Valdosta, Richmond Hill. So talk about just the opportunity for Valdosta and Colquitt to potentially set up that big matchup later on.
Yeah, I mean, they had that big rivalry win for Valdosta. They were 0-5 in the last 5 matches against Lowndes, got that big win there in that game, remain undefeated. So they can just keep going with the momentum and the traction they've had all season. I think, they come in there and they're able to beat, I think you said Richmond Hill. They got to like where they are, and it'll just show up a region showdown for the title between Colquitt and Valdosta, who've been kind of just unstoppable all season long. They got a great defensive line. You talked to the head coach, Shelton Felton, Eric Brantley Jr., Omar White. Just very great, stout defensive front for them. Good playmakers on the back end. Offensively led by Tal Bowles, who's just doing a good job. So I just think, they're just on a collision course right now, and if they can continue that momentum, they got like where they're going to be at the end of, a couple of games when they score off for a region championship.
Yep, and they've all played extremely tough schedules. So right now it's Valdosta and Colquitt that are the lone two that haven't lost yet. So we'll definitely be watching that. Then in Region 2, I think you got some interesting ones as well. East Coweta is going to be off, but they're playing Campbell. Westlake's going to be off. And then Pebblebrook and Carrollton. Do you expect Carrollton to make another statement? And if they win that one, they improve to 8-0.
Yeah, just too many weapons. I think, Pebblebrook obviously coming at, making competitive, but I mean, freshman phenom, Julian Lewis, even when he's not getting the ball, the best player, by head coach Joey King is obviously Bryce Hicks, who had in that game almost 200 yards rushing, 2 TDs. Just so many weapons on that field. Caleb Odom, they can go anywhere. And then defensively, they're good as well. I mean, guy that doesn't get a lot of notice. He's gotten some offers. Kelvin Hill, again, acrobatic defensive play there, interception, kept focus, and then that big near pick 6 at the end of the game against East Coweta. Well, not in the game, but during this third quarter. that really gave them a lot of momentum. So, I mean, they got playmakers on defense. They're good in their linebacking core. Defensive line is good. Weapons all over the offense. I think they handle business, go to 8-0 in that one. And then, if you're Westlake, you want to come here with some momentum. You want to get this win and, just keep building. But I think Carrollton handles their business.
Yep, a potential region championship game coming up between Carrollton and Westlake. I'm glad you mentioned Kelvin Hill. Of course, Najeh's right there getting the perfect video of that interception. That was pretty sweet, and I bet you were pumped after that.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, just for him to do that, I think said a lot. And this is in that situation. I just want to mention Christian Lane for really quick. He's a good quarterback. He just sometimes, you got to take the sack. You don't want to just throw up the ball for grabs because then you kind of invite the defense to be able to make a play on the ball. So I thought he played great. He made some mistakes in that game, but he came back fighting and kept trying to get the drives going. Just couldn't get enough going, in the first half, and it was too late, a little too late for them to kind of come back. But, yeah, Kelvin Hill's been balling. Hope he gets some more offers. I think, according to 247 Sports, he's a 3-star, so hopefully he can continue to, keep playing well.
Yep, and then Region 3, I'm interested how North Paulding comes back. They had a bye last week after that tough Walton loss. They play Harrison. Marietta McEachern should be interesting. It's funny, Marietta entered this season with 594 all-time wins. So as long as they get 6 wins this season, they hit that 600-win milestone. But they're at 2-5 right now. So maybe we wait till next year. But if they get this big win over McEachern, that will be huge. And let's talk about Region 4, another interesting lineup of games. You got Newton and Brookwood. Newton's trying to fight for a playoff spot. South Gwinnett Grayson, Archer Parkview. And then in Region 5, we got Cherokee Osborne, Kennesaw Mountain Walton. And then our next guest after this, Wheeler, is playing North Cobb. I mean, talk about those matchups.
Yeah, I want to start with, I think you said Region 4. I'm going to start with Grayson South Gwinnett. So this game's kind of flown under the radar a little bit. I think it's a big game, though. 5-1 Grayson, 1-0 in the region. And South Gwinnett's 0-1 in the region. They lose this game, they go to 0-2. That would be a critical loss, I think, for them. It's a really big matchup. They're going to have to lean on Nathaniel Miller, let disruptive A.J. Pickford kind of disrupt the offense. I think if they can disrupt them and force Jeff Davis into some interceptions for Grayson, they have to like where they stand and just continue to run the football. And, have to like your chances. And if you're Grayson, you're one of the best teams in the state. Your defense is just top tier, I think, in my opinion. Last week you shut down Newton. I think it was 26-0. So can they continue to put that forth? And then offensively get the ball to your playmakers, depend on Joe Jr., let him run the football, and then get the ball to Caden High, and obviously JoJo Stone Jr. So obviously keep my eye on that matchup. And then the other one was what was the other one you mentioned?
Yeah,
really
Kennesaw
quick?
Mountain, Walton, North Cobb Wheeler, and then Cherokee
Yeah,
Osborne.
North Cobb Wheeler, you're going to have Wheeler on in a second. Man, I think it was Wheeler you said yesterday, a kid that's been having, averaging 150 yards a carry?
Yeah, a game. Yeah. Josiah Allen. Yeah,
Josiah Allen, I mean,
been
he's just
phenomenal.
wrecking.
Cobb County Player of the Week, back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, he's just wrecking stuff. So I'm curious to see, can he continue his dominance against that North Cobb defense? I mean, they played really good in the last one. I mean, they shut down one of the top offenses in the state. Walton is top tier. They've been putting up 40-plus points a game, and nobody's really been able to stop them. They got shut down. Only 6 points, and that came in the fourth quarter. So, can they continue that dominant effort offensively? I'm curious to see what the head coach is going to say in the next segment when I'm producing the show and what he has to say in their matchup and prepare for that one. But obviously that one, and then Walton, 0-1 in the region, big game against Kennesaw Mountain. They're undefeated. If they win that game, they are almost on a collision course as well to be playing for that region championship. But Walton, you got to go in there, get the win on the road. Hopefully the offense can get back on track, and just depend kind of on your defense, to get some stops. Depend on Hunter Till, Aiden Jackson, Wyatt Sunderman, some of those players to kind of, do their thing.
Yep. I think it's a situation you have Wheeler starting to hit their stride. Walton, they just got knocked down a peg. They're trying to get back on track. You have Kennesaw Mountain getting better and better each week, and then North Cobb obviously is rolling right now with what they've been able to do, and they're only going to get better. Then let's see, we got Region 6, some interesting ones. West Forsyth and Lambert, that's going to be a great rivalry game. Denmark South Forsyth will be one to watch. And then let's go to Region 7, Peachtree Ridge and North Gwinnett. Interesting matchup right there. Peachtree Ridge has had some impressive performances, but North Gwinnett's going to come out there. They're trying to get the region title.
Yeah, that was for Cypher Lambert game. I think will be huge. Can Payne Strako get going in that game? Obviously one of the better runners I think in the state as well. Doesn't get the attention that he deserves and needs. But can he have a big game? Lambert's undefeated, having a phenomenal season. I've been beating some big time opponents, so that game obviously keep my eye on. And then Peachtree Ridge, North Gwinnett, I think is a big game. Right now, North Gwinnett 3-0, undefeated at the top of the region. Peachtree Ridge, they lose this game, they go 1-2. So, they'll be almost at the lower end fighting for that 4 seed to get in the postseason. So, if they can get that win, that'd be big for them. What kind of game is Julian Walters, Ryan Hall, what kind of game they're going to have in this one? And, can Caden McDonald be disruptive there on the defensive line? And can they give him some packages on offense and kind of depend on that? So that's a bigger game I think a lot of people aren't seeing. Also wanted to mention, I know we're going to wrap up pretty soon here, Hiram Cartersville. This is a 5A matchup. Cartersville handled their business against Cass, 35-13, beat them. In that game, they had 2 touchdowns through the air and 3 on the ground. Paul Gamble, 3 touchdown performance in that one. Malachi Jeffries added 2 rushing touchdowns in that game. Dominant on defense in that game, 5 sacks total last week. Hiram beat a really good Calhoun team, 44-34. Was running the football really well. Junior running back Jamarion Watley had 177 yards rushing, 2 TDs, and sophomore running back Caden Hamilton averaged 11.3 yards a carry. So can they continue that dominant rushing attack on offense in that game? I think that would speak volumes. It would be very important. And then one more game I wanted to mention as well, 4A matchup, Perry and Baldwin. Perry's having a phenomenal season, 6-1, only lost to Houston County, nail biter 57-56. They've been dominant, blowing out teams. Average margin of victory is 35 points. They're just beating opponents with ease. Baldwin is 2-4, 1-1 in the region play. This is a home game for them. Michael Welch is a name to keep an eye on for them, having a good season, 400 yards rushing so far, 4 TDs. But Perry is just super, uber talented. A lot of credits to them. Their quarterback, Amar Gordon, plays football and basketball. Right now has 21 touchdowns, nearly 1,500 yards passing. Their running back, Demetrius Carter, only 5'6", 165 pounds I saw. 9 touchdowns, 675 yards rushing. And the last one, elite playmaker, Dakari Anderson, 675 yards receiving and 9 touchdowns. Just an explosive offense. Can't wait to see that matchup as well.
Yeah, Perry looks phenomenal, and I love their coach, Kevin Smith, and their just overall philosophy, the attitude they have just every single day, every aspect of the program. But just one more question with the Buford-Mill Creek game. I mean, I think it's going to be so important for Hayden Clark to just do what he does best, control the game, get his guys involved, not turn it over, make plays when they need it. I mean, if Mill Creek comes out again and they're able to get this win over Buford, I think this really validates their chances of taking 7A this year.
Yeah, well said by you. I think if they're able to come in there and win that game, I believe that's a road game for them. You got to put them number 1 in your rankings. They've been doing it all year. They beat a good Walton team in the opener. Can Hayden Clark, pass the ball? What is going to be the strategy in this game? Because they've depended on Cam Robinson. They've had a few games where they just ran the football and been able to perform well. Will they run it a little bit? Will they pass it a little bit? What kind of things is Josh Lovelady going to do on offense? Will they depend on analytics for some of those key plays? If you're at the 40-yard line, 4th and 2, are you going to go for it? You're going to kick it or punt it? Those are some things to kind of keep an eye on in this game. Can they slow down Justice Hayes? He's having a phenomenal season. Alabama commit. On the other side for them, they have Caleb Downs. So that's going to be just an interesting test match because if they're able to get the run going, then it's going to just set up their play action for Buford. But if you're able to slow down the run, you got to what you're able to do in that game, and you can kind of force them into some situations they might not want to beat themselves in. And then can Hayden Clark, when they pass the football, can he be effective? Can he get the ball to Jenkins? Can he get the ball to Mikael Wood? Can he get the ball to Caleb Downs? Those are going to be keys in that game. Obviously, this is, I think, I would say it's a coming out game for Clark, but if he can go out there, not do too much, but if he can go out there, be good, be efficient with the football, I think it can put a lot of people on notice and really show that Mill Creek is one of the creme de la creme teams in the 7A and show that they're going to be down at the end of the season in the playoffs fighting for a title.
Absolutely. I think this is the toughest defense they've gone up against, but I think what they have is just that ability to be balanced in all phases, but then move guys into different roles and find kind of the ability to catch the defenses off guard, and they've just been able to move the ball, have the big drives when they need to. I think that's just a great football matchup, a chess match in a sense, and also just a ton of star power. That game is going to be one of the many good ones this week. Najeh, thank you so much for coming on, and yeah, go check out his latest conversation with Sire Hardaway. It's fantastic, and all the other work Najeh's been doing. All right, we're going to wrap that up, though. Move on to our next guest and thank our sponsors, Georgia Farm Bureau.
Our mission has always been to support Georgia farmers. That's why we created Georgia Farm Bureau Mutual Insurance Company, providing financial protection that farmers needed. While this remains the same today, we've grown to protect all Georgians through home, auto, and life insurance. From the very beginning and into the future, we stand for every Georgia community.
We are a Farm Bureau.
All right, welcome back. So our next guest is going to be Fitzgerald head coach Tucker Pruitt. The Purple Hurricanes, they are 6-0, undefeated, and they are coming off a massive 42-0 win over Worth County. I compare it to what Cedartown did last week because Worth County was undefeated. Cedartown beats Heritage Catoosa, who was undefeated 42-0 as well. So it's kind of that game where you know Fitzgerald's good, you know Cedartown's good, but then they go up against a team that hasn't lost and put up a 42-point win. You're like, whoa, what's going on there? Because, I mean, they've played a tough schedule, but it looks like they are really clicking right now. So we are excited to learn about their team. Do we have Coach on? Awesome. Coach Pruitt, how's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Doing well. So I was actually, when I was trying to get you on, I was going through our contact list. I accidentally texted your dad, and he is not at coffee anymore. He's in Florida.
Yeah, that happens pretty regularly, so that's not the first time that mistake's been made.
But I wanted to ask you a little bit about that, just what coaching has meant to your family. I mean, he's had so much success. He's in the Florida Football Coaches Hall of Fame, what he was able to do at Coffee, all those schools. I mean, what has just coaching high school football meant for the Pruitts?
Well, it's been good, being able to grow up as a coach's son. Me and both of my brothers were always around the game. We were always at practice. We were water boys and then graduated to ball boys. And football was a big part of our upbringing and our childhood. And a lot of, what made me who I am today, not just my dad, but a lot of the coaches that I was around. And it's just been awesome. It was a great childhood growing up that way and being able to look up to all my dad's players and learn a lot of those lessons that the game of football teaches you at a young age.
Yep. And every season, I mean, all the preparation that goes into it in the off season, all the tough matchups, the daily schedule, the road trips, everything you have to go through. What did it mean last year for you guys to get that championship and something that you guys have been so close to year after year, but to be able to complete and finish it out?
Man, it was awesome. It was definitely overdue. It was time for us to do that as a program. We've been knocking on the door for so many years, and our kids finally made it happen. And it was just a big monkey off our shoulders. We've had a really good program for a long time, won a lot of games, but just hadn't been able to win that last one. And so I think our kids were really focused. I think it helped a little bit maybe going the year before and losing it. And in a weird way, being able to kind of be a little bit more familiar with the atmosphere and the stadium and everything. And our seniors made it happen, man. They played really well, and it was just a big day for our team and our community.
Yeah, that was very exciting. And how many years had it been since the previous one?
I want to say 73, but I'm not real good at math.
Yeah, years are
40.
confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew it was a long time, and yeah, you guys had been knocking on the door. I mean, what do you think it was, though, just the fact that you guys routinely just schedule such a tough regular season, non-region schedule, and had played in tough games, been tested early, and so they kind of are familiar with those big moments, and it didn't really overwhelm them this time. I mean, they knew they were in it.
Yeah, we had been tested a lot throughout the year. It really was a group that was fairly young on the offensive side of the ball. Our state runner, 4 seniors on it, 9 of 11 starters. And so it was tough sledding early in the year trying to put up points. Our defense carried us for a lot of the way, but we did get better. We grew each and every week and we progressed, and we really didn't peak till about week 14, week 15. So it was one of those years that you don't really know, but our kids did a good job and they grew up fast and kind of all came together.
Yeah, I think I had you on last year. I wasn't able to look it up, but you guys were coming off a loss. Is that right? Like, would have been like week 4 or something.
Yeah, we lost to Pierce County in week
That was it.
5, 17-0. We got shut out, and then we lost again in week 8, which was our ninth game of the year against Thomasville, and we didn't even win our own region. So it
Yep.
definitely wasn't a perfect story. We were not, a beautiful team to watch all year long. We had a lot of bumps in the road. We fell short many times, but our kids kept working and they kept believing in each other. And, there was a lot of progress made. And like I said, our defense was kind of the constant for us. They played well all throughout the regular season and the playoffs, and our offense caught up with them there at the end.
Yeah, because I remember I was asking you if, yeah, what are the goals this season? You still think you guys are going to be able to take the championship? And you were like, no, we need to focus on improving, or we aren't going to win next week. So I know you guys were able to get going, so that's awesome. But I mean, you have this tough schedule this year coming out against Irwin County. What was just the overall mindset? Who'd you have returning? Kind of who led you guys this off season, and just wanted to return and have another successful 2022?
Yeah, well, we mentioned, we were pretty young on offense last year. So this year we've got a lot of guys back. We've got 8 starters back on the offensive side of the ball, 4 out of 5 offensive linemen, the quarterback, the fullback, the leading receiver, the tight end. We didn't have many holes to fill. So we've been playing a little bit better there as compared to last year at this time. Our offense is executing fairly well right now. We still got a long way to go, but it's a lot better than having 8 returning starters. I can tell you that. Defensively, we lost a lot this year, so there have definitely been some growing pains. We missed 21 tackles against Northeast Macon. We missed 21 tackles against Madison County the following week. But a couple bye weeks later, in a game against Dodge, we only missed 2 tackles last week against Worth County. So it's kind of a flip from what it was last year. We were young on offense. This year we're young on defense, but we've had some guys step up and grow up quickly, and there have been some improvements that have been made. But I think, the biggest thing for our team right now is we just got to stay humble. We got to stay hungry. We got to continue to understand that we're going to get what we earn, and we just got to look in front of us on what's in front of us and try to get better each and every day.
And so were those missed tackles? I mean, when I see teams that kind of have that issue impact them, it's usually like on these third down plays where it's like you have a chance to get off the field, and I mean that just kills you when you like can't wrap up or have a missed arm tackle. Is that kind of what happened? You guys just weren't able to get off the field in some of these games?
Well, 21 is a lot more than just third downs. That's a
Right.
problem that exists first, second, third, and fourth downs. And then the other half of it, there's fundamentals, and then there's who you're trying to tackle. And Northeast Macon had the running back that's leading the entire state of Georgia in rushing right now. And, those kind of folks make you miss. And so Madison County had some of them too, but it was a lot of fundamentals. And so that's what kind of was number one on our list of priorities to fix during the bye week. And we spent a lot of time in tackling drills and tackling circuits. Been able to see some rewards of that investment. But like I said, we're still a work in progress. We got a long way to go, but we got some good kids that show up every day wanting to work, and they take the coaching well, and they're excited about competing and growing and trying to make another run at this championship.
Yeah, and so you mentioned you had the 4 returning offensive linemen. That's got to be huge. But just in terms of the quarterback play, I mean, what have you seen so far this year, just in the game management, limiting mistakes, and just operating out of the huddle with confidence?
Well, we're a little bit more balanced than we were last year. We're still a run-the-ball first football team. We want to line up and control the clock and control the line of scrimmage and run the football. We've been able to do that fairly well, but we have thrown the ball much better this year. Sultan Cooper's back at quarterback. He's a senior. Our leading receiver, Calvin Tillman's back. He's only a junior. And so when we've called on the passing game this year, we've been much more successful, and we're going to continue to try to grow with that and continue to get better and be a little bit more balanced, because what I've learned in this game is it's all about matchups. When you get in the playoffs, you may play somebody that's not as good in the box, and maybe you can just run the ball. But the next week it could be the complete reversal, and you may play somebody that's loaded in the box, and The running game's a little bit tougher on a night like that, and you need to be able to throw it. And so we're definitely working to be balanced, but we're definitely a run-first football team.
Yep, and this is a tough region you find yourself in. I mean, we've had Berrien on, Coach Allagood. They look really talented this year. Cook, Sumter County, Jeff Davis, Worth County, Dodge County. So after those first 4 games, you guys played some close ones, some tough non-region games. What have you seen, though, just through this 2-0 start in this tough region?
Well, I mean, you mentioned a lot of the teams and the coaches and the programs. You know, you better show up ready to play your best football on Friday or you're going to get beat because it's a challenge each and every week. A lot of these teams got talent. They got great coaching staffs. They got good weightlifting programs and nutrition programs. And so you're not just going to show up and beat anybody. And that's something that I think all of our kids need to understand. You know, we talk a lot about you get what you earn, and these teams are going to make you play well to beat them. But Dodge County gave us all we wanted. I thought we came out a little slow off a bye week and did not play our best football, but give them credit. They got a good football team too, and they've been losing a lot of close games. And then obviously we had another bye week to get ready for Worth County. Worth County was undefeated and averaging 51.5 points in region play. Their quarterback, Chip Cooper, was the overall region player of the year last year, and so we knew what he was capable of. And they were really clicking and had a lot of momentum. Off to a 6-0 start there. Coach Hammond's done a great job with them. And so we knew that was going to be a huge atmosphere. We knew that was going to be a big environment and a championship caliber game, and our kids were up for the task. We had a great week of practice. Our kids were locked in. They were focused. And we played our best game of the year. You know, offense, defense, and special teams played really well. We executed at a high level and kind of set a new bar, kind of set a high bar for ourselves. And, you know, the challenge this week is to try to do it again and do it better and continue to play with some consistency and to get up for every opportunity to play, not just the ones that are huge games, you know, undefeated versus undefeated. We got to bring it each and every week. And so that's kind of the challenge right now, is to not get stagnant, not be looking at the past at what we've done, but just, you know, focus on our preparation, take it one day at a time, and focus on finding a way to play even better this Friday than we did last Friday.
Yeah, that's interesting. So after the Madison County game, you have that bye. Then you play Dodge County. You said you come out slow. That's a tough battle, 20-12 win. You have another bye, though, and then produced a 42-0 win. So what was just different in that bye week to come out and not be stagnant?
Well, you know, like you said, fortunate to have 2 bye weeks in a 3-week period, you know, but you know, what we did again is just used it as a week to focus on fundamentals. You know, bye weeks can be good if you're beat up, but bye weeks can be bad if you're not. We kind of were not beat up, had a little bit of momentum, and really would have preferred to continue to play and keep rolling, but it didn't work out that way, so we focused on our fundamentals. Obviously, tackling was still one of the main ones. We did the second bye week. We did a little bit more good on good. Like I said, I thought we started a little sluggish and a little slow after the first bye week. So the second one was a little mix of fundamentals, but we did some good on good so we could get some live full speed reps and try to make it competitive to bring out the best in our kids. And so that's what we did a little different. But, you know, maybe it worked, maybe it didn't. I think a lot of it, our play last week was just the fact that our kids knew that Worth County was undefeated and they had to bring their A game, and they did. And so, like I said, the challenge is just to build on that and continue to get better each and every week.
Yep, and so you have 4 straight region games to close out this season. I mean, you mentioned Calvin Tillman being a returning guy with experience in that backfield. I mean, who had the big performance, though, against Worth County? I'm sure a lot of guys were involved.
Yeah, you know, the big performance really was our offensive line. That kind of includes our tight ends and our blocking backs. We run some single wing and some stuff that we got tight ends and fullbacks and blocking backs. It ain't just the O-line, but they controlled the game. They were our player of the week, that whole unit there. I thought they played well. They played nasty, and they kind of dictated the game, and anybody running behind them had success. Tyler Williams led us. I think he had 5 carries for 82 yards and 2 touchdowns, but we're more of a back-by-committee deal. We don't have one back. We've got about 5 of them, and they're all about 5'8", 150 pounds. If they didn't have a different number jersey on, you wouldn't know them apart. But they all played well. Our offensive line played well. and whenever they play well, we normally tend to play well. And so hopefully we can build on that.
Yep, and I mean, this is a program that won the entire thing last year, got the state championship. So, I mean, how have you seen the guys just handle that pressure where the expectation is there? They know that it's in reach this season. The program did it last year. So, I mean, how have they been handling that pressure, not getting ahead of themselves, but still having that goal to represent the Purple Hurricanes?
Well, it's tough, you know. They're 14 to 18 years old, like we were at one point in time, and it's tough sometimes to get them focused and to keep them in the moment, you know, and to stay humble and to stay hungry, and to stay focused and continue to have a mindset that we want to grow and get better each and every day, no matter what the result was last week. So, as a coaching staff, we got our hands full with that, but I think there's no substitute for experience. We do have a lot of kids that have been in the fire. They've been in some big games. They've been in some big atmospheres. They were a part of that team last year that made a run to win a state championship. And so I think when we get into those big games, when we get into those fourth quarters, the fact that they have some experience there has benefited us, you know. But our kids compete. They play well. The expectations and the goals and the standards, they don't really change. Each year we have, like everybody else, we have a senior class leave. But the goals stay the same, and the standards stay the same, and the expectations stay the same. And our kids, I think, so far this year have done a good job of understanding that. Obviously, there's a big challenge that we talked about in the offseason of separating last year's team from this year's team. You know, last year's team won a state championship, and this year's team at that point in time hadn't done anything. And, you know, that's the mindset that we gotta carry. You know, we got to forget about the past, and we're going to get what we earn. We got to earn it again. And we know we're going to get everybody's best shot. And so there's really not a whole lot of margin for error. We got to make sure that we're doing the things day in and day out that are going to lead us to where we say we want to be at the end of the year.
Yep, certainly a new chapter still being written. Just in terms of these next four opponents, though, last point, I'm not too familiar with the history. I mean, are one of these just would be, I guess, your biggest rival as a program? Is it Cook, Berrien? I mean, or is this a fresh region?
Well, it's kind of a fresh region. Our biggest rival is Irwin County.
Yep.
We had some big games with Thomasville. They left the region. And now Jeff Davis is entering for the first time, as well as America's Sumter and Dodge. Now, we were familiar with Dodge. We played Dodge twice last year, but they're new to the region. And then Cook and Worth were new to the region, I think, 2 years prior. So there's really not any region rivalries, but there's some really good football teams and, you know, tough football games and ought to be great competition. This week we got Jeff Davis for homecoming. Next week we go to America's Sumter, and then we'll finish our last of our home games with Cook County. And then the last game of the year we go to Berrien.
Yep, that'll be a very exciting finish right there. And, yeah, whoever is able to come out of this region, I think there's going to be a bunch of battle-tested programs, deep region, and the winner's certainly going to have to earn it. So, Coach Pruitt, thank you so much for coming on. Best of luck this next week, homecoming against Jeff Davis. I hope your guys continue to tackle well and do what they do offensively. Really appreciate it, Coach.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Go Purple Hurricanes. All right, so Fitzgerald, they will be at home, homecoming against Jeff Davis this week. We'll be covering that one, and we're going to take one more quick break, though. Thank our sponsors, Georgia Farm Bureau.
Our mission has always been to support Georgia farmers. That's why we created Georgia Farm Bureau Mutual Insurance Company, providing financial protection that farmers needed. While this remains the same today, we've grown to protect all Georgians through home, auto, and life insurance. From the very beginning and into the future, we stand for every Georgia community.
We are a Farm Bureau.
All right, welcome back. So our next guest is going to be Wheeler head coach Bryan Love. Everyone knows I'm a Walton guy. Wheeler is our big rival. But you know what? I have nothing against Wheeler. In fact, I'd say growing up playing basketball at East Marietta, East Cobb Middle School, guys like Brandon Booker, Griffin Smith, My buddy Abdul Cisse, it's like once I got to Walton and they split us up, it's like, actually, can I trade? Can I get this guy to come here instead? Now, some of my teammates growing up, best friends, ended up going to Wheeler, so I'm excited because I feel like this rivalry's back. Wheeler's up in 7A now. They're in the same region as Walton. They have a big matchup coming up. And with Wheeler's win over Cherokee last week, I mean, that was huge for them. They were 1-9 last year. They're a young team, but they are getting better and better. They're on a 4-game win streak, and now they play North Cobb this week. A great opportunity, a big test, and they're going to be battling in this Region 5 with also Osborne, Kennesaw Mountain, and, of course, Walton. So tough schedule, but they've been making strides, and I've been really impressed with what Coach Love and his guys are doing this season. Okay, we still don't have them on. Let's see. I had mentioned before just how they were able to run the ball this past week against Cherokee as a team. 506 rushing yards off 47 carries. That's been, I guess, the bread and butter these last few weeks. Against North Atlanta, same sort of deal. They relied on Josiah Allen. He had 25 carries, 270 yards, and a touchdown. They also produced 6 sacks that game. And North Atlanta has a really great quarterback and a explosive offense. So, I mean, that was key. So defensively, they're starting to play really well. And then that running attack, it's been pretty much in cruise control recently. I mean, even in their Campbell game, I think their quarterback was hurt. That's Marcus Romain. He was back for the Cherokee game, but he was out that one. They didn't complete a pass that entire game. They beat Campbell 28-17 and did it all on the ground. So you got to think, is that going to be the strategy for North Cobb this week? Not necessarily like, oh, they're loading the box, but try to make them pass the ball. And then can they accomplish that off a North Cobb defense that does have a lot of talent in the secondary and could potentially create those turnovers? But we're going to welcome on Coach Love right now. How's it going, Coach? Coach, can you hear me? All right, he's there, but we can't hear him. I can't see the screen. Coach, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay, he left. We'll try to reconnect with him right there. So, yeah, they opened the season 21-14 loss to Centennial. And a further look into that, they were up 14-0 and ended up losing 21-0. We know Centennial, coaches we've had on have said, hey, man, Centennial, they have a lot of Power 5 guys. They've got some great athletes. So that was one that got away. It was on the road. And then they followed up with a tough loss to Lassiter. That was a scoreless game in the second half. It was, they were down 16-10 at the half, and then both teams didn't score in the second half. So they had opportunity to win that game as well, and then they get the win over South Cobb, 28-3, the win over North Atlanta, the win over Campbell, and then the big one we just mentioned against Cherokee this past week. All right, Coach, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Good afternoon.
Awesome. Good afternoon, Coach. Thank you so much for coming on. I just wanted to learn more about this year's team. You guys are on this 4-game win streak. I mentioned the first game of the year against Centennial. You guys had that 14-0 lead. That one kind of gets away, but it really looks like your guys have started making like some big plays, putting together a great effort, 4-quarter games to fuel this recent run.
Yeah, we're definitely proud of the kids and the coaches as well. Like I said, we had early on, like I said, the Centennial game and the last of the games we mentioned, we had opportunities to we were up in the Centennial game. And the last of the game, like I said, we let both of those get away from us. But we kind of found ourselves against South Cobb, and then we kind of focused more on ourselves. We're still young this year as well, with about 17 starters that are 10th graders. So still very young in that capacity. But they found our running game last couple of weeks. O-line has been doing a great job along with the tight ends as well, doing in that. And then we got our quarterback back last week. So we're definitely excited about that.
Yep, and so you got to Wheeler in 2019. I know they were in 6A last year. They're up in 7A now. I mentioned just someone that went to Walton. I feel like the rivalry's back. We're in the same region again. But talk about that a little bit. Wheeler's a magnet school. Just being up in 7A, kind of what it looks like, enrollment numbers, and kind of how you feel about being in 7A.
Right. Well, like I said, we're going to play what they tell us wherever we're classified at. But like I said, it's definitely challenging at times. When I first came in, my first year, like I said, we were in 7A, and we bumped down to 6A, and we're back in 7A now. So we're around 2,300 right now, like I said, students. Of course, it's added on. Like I said, we're definitely having our magnet program. We actually have about 5 of our football players for the first time that are in the magnet program, like I said, on our team this year. So with definite points of academic emphasis on those. But it's definitely challenging at times because of your depth on your offensive line and your defensive line. Of course, we're going to definitely have skilled kids, but that's where it gets challenging at times. So we have to make sure we made a point of emphasis the last couple of years to make sure we're recruit our hallways as hard as much as we can with our big guys, most definitely, getting those guys out and then developing them and building great relationships with them. So.
Yep, and that seems to be the necessary strategy when trying to get the program up to speed, is to recruit the young guys, get them involved, and prepare them for the future. But it looks like even this year, though, the JV team's been having success. I think I saw you guys recently beat Kennesaw Mountain.
Yeah, and that was the first game of the year, right? They were. We made sure we had point of emphasis. We have about 42 ninth graders now that are in our program and doing well academically as well. So definitely excited about the future for them. So we had to, in Cobb County, you have to let them know if you're going to play that schedule a little bit earlier, have a ninth grade schedule, but we were able to pick up a couple of ninth grade games along the way as well. So we're actually going to play a ninth grade game on this week as well, this Thursday, well, actually tomorrow rather, to finish out our sub varsity. So definitely excited about that. They're excited about that. And, if you can kind of keep those kids together, you definitely have something every year.
Yep. So, a ton of young guys. I think you said maybe 17 10th graders. Is that starting for you right now?
Yes.
Okay. 17 sophomore starters. What was the other kind of just overall plan to get Wheeler back on track and get the program up to speed and competitive in 7A, other than just recruiting the hallways, getting the young guys out? Did you have like a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year vision for it?
Well, definitely, like I said, be as competitive as we can be. Like I said, definitely year in and year out. But I know it was going to be a 4 or 5 year plan, most definitely, just because we want to try to get the facilities, number one, upgraded. My administration has done a great job. Our principal, and athletic director. We have a new athletic director this year, but the previous athletic director and our current athletic director have done great jobs with supporting my vision and upgrading our facilities, which is, I think, definitely number one, because you got to make sure you have a definite place where the kids can, they can be developed at, something that they can be proud of. So we moved our weight room outside to our old wrestling room and done some renovations out there, put several $1,000s in that with equipment. So that's definitely been a plus. The other part was just understanding being competitive on a daily basis. And that is, we have a great basketball program here, trying to piggyback off that, and track program is thriving as well. We won the JV County meet this past track season, so all the skilled kids ran track, and it's carried over to the football season this year as well. So definitely getting the facilities was number one, making sure we get quality character men in here to coach these kids up and teach them football. Anybody can coach and motivate, but it's about teaching these young men the right way, what to do on and off the field, and just understanding being competitive on a daily basis, whether that's in the weight room, the classroom, or on the playing field.
And then what's the hashtag I saw you guys using? Is it the 325 Holt Road?
Yeah, our motto, we branding ourselves with, of course, this is our 375 Holt Road. But our motto for this year was definitely, it's locked in. And just being on that, a lot of times with, these players today, they have a lot of distractions. That can be, personal distractions, whether or not they, playing time on the field. A lot of them have to work, so there are different things that they're hit with. So we talked about being in the moment and being locked in. Whatever you're doing, if from 7:30 to 3:30, being in the classroom, you're locked in the classroom. If you're in the weight room, you're being locked in the weight room. On the practice field, being locked in then. So we're trying to give them something where they can reach back to, and a motto that they can reach back to in at all facets of their life.
Yeah, I like it. And I really like that hashtag using the school address, because it's like, this is our place, this is who we're representing. And I know a lot of people, I mean, I went to Walton, so I know Wheeler's not just a basketball school, but I mean, you hear that all the time. It's like, oh, they're so great at basketball. But I mean, to have a competitive football program in 7A, I mean, that would really be outstanding for the school. And I know you guys are trying to get it done this year, but what have you seen from your young guys, from your team this year, to be able to handle some of the challenges, get the running game going like it has been, and just do what it takes to come out with these victories?
Got it. Well, like, again, speaking to the guys about focusing on us, and especially, we got to win Monday, we got to win Tuesday, we got to win Wednesday, come out and fine-tune on Thursday and compete on Friday. And that's what it's about, versus looking at the whole big picture. You look at our the back end of our schedule right now. Our last 4 opponents here, 3 out of the 4 are in they're ranked in the top 10, which is a credit to the region. So they got some very competitive games that we going, and then you have Osborne, who's 5-1 now. So the rest of that back end of that schedule is very competitive, but just really focusing on ourselves, playing to our strengths, understanding our offensive line has been playing much better. They've been gelling together. Like I said, having the quarterback back, which is a triple threat in those regards. So just being able to get the ball to the playmakers, and defensively, especially offensively these days, because everybody can throw it, they can run it. Everybody has athletes. You try to put them in space, but try to limit that. Try to win on first down as much as possible, and get people in the second and long, third and long situation.
Yep. I mean, have you guys been getting more attention from just colleges with your young guys? I mean, how has that gone? Just trying to build that opportunity for your players to be able to go to the next level.
Most definitely. We've definitely been exchanging text messages and communications, like I said, with several different colleges, with our young guys and the numbers that they're putting up. People inquiring and definitely inquiring about them, so which has definitely been good. But the most part, we're trying to sell for our kids and their parents that they understand is, academics come first. We're sitting here with a quarterback who has a 4.1 GPA and a running back who has a 4.0 GPA. That's very good. So, you're talking about some of your leaders on your team and your top performers. They're not only performing on the football field, but they're performing in the classroom as well. And that has carryover value, as I tell them every day. Whatever you do in the classroom, it's going to carry over to the field. So if you can take care of business in there, sky can be the limit for you.
Yep, that is such a key to just being able to be a team that can make playoff runs, is to have that continuous year after year production of guys that go on to represent the program, and just kind of elevate that motivation for guys to use this as an opportunity to become stars at the next level. So that's really exciting. But I've got to say, your running back, Josiah Allen, I mean, he has been lights out recently. I mean, what have you seen from him just in terms of his ability and what he's been able to do out there for you guys?
Got it. Well, it's like I said, the numbers he's put up last couple of weeks. Like I said, we've been very fortunate. Like I said, I'm gonna start with number one. Like I said, giving credit, like I said, to the offensive coaches for scheming it up, putting us in advantageous situations, but also as well as that offensive line and those tight ends. They've been doing a great job blocking for him. And kudos to the receivers, because as any running back knows, this right here, you can't have big runs and long runs without the receivers blocking on the perimeter and downfield. Because if those guys aren't doing that, then it's hard to get those long runs. But like I said, he's a workhorse. He does a tremendous job. As I just said, he's a 4.0 student. He just got his academic letter. Our game against Campbell, we honored all the 498 academic letter people within the school, which was a great time for them to be honored. A lot of people in the Magna program were honored. But he's weight room warrior. He continued work. He gets out of pre-practice. He does his drills. After practice, he stays. We stayed after yesterday, like I said, and worked on some footwork type things, because he's always trying to figure out how to get better, and he wants more. Like I said, so we're going to definitely be generating some interest with him, especially with his GPA. But like I said, he's a versatile back as well. Like I said, he catches the ball out of the backfield as well. Does a great job blocking and our pass protection for us as well. So definitely, sky's going to be the limit. And they're very appreciative of the opportunity to get to nurture, mentor, and coach the young man.
For sure. And so your quarterback that I think you also mentioned at the 4.0, Marcus Romaine, I think, was he out in the Campbell game?
Yes, he was. Yes, Jesse Santos stepped up and played quarterback for us. Who's also our starting safety.
Yep. So, and then he comes back in the Cherokee game, puts up a big performance as well, just passing the ball and running. So, what has he done, just having him back, and how huge is it going to be for your quarterback, your running back, your O-line, your tight end, receivers like Reggie Bondridge, Josiah Cole, I think, who else was it? Maybe Trayvon
Javon
Calhoun?
Broussard. Trayvon Calhoun and Javon Broussard.
Yep.
Like I said, definitely, like I said, kudos to, like I said, to the team, and like I said, to Jesse Santos for stepping in there against against Campbell. Like I said, he stepped in. I think we made it through 3 passes, I believe, that game. But like I said, we spent the majority of the time. He had some key pulls on some third down situations where we were able to continue to drive and get key first downs for us. But like I said, having Marcus back, like I said, and we still repping Jesse at quarterback as well. But you're talking about a guy who had ended up having 4 starts last year as a 9th grader for us, and then coming back this year. Bigger, faster, and stronger.
Yep, so that's exciting. And, yeah, he's been able to have those poles, pick up the big yards. Just looking at this North Cobb team you're about to play, though, I mean, they really shut down Walton last week. I watched a little bit of that game. I thought they absolutely dominated. They're so physical in the trenches. I mean, what do you think about this matchup just as another test for you guys, something you're going to be able to grow from, and also just to be out there playing in such a big region game?
Oh yes, most definitely. Like I said, definitely. They did a great job against Walton. Like I said, against the game that they played this previous Friday night. Like I said, we look forward to the challenge. Like I said, we understand. Like I said, they've played in some big games over the past couple of years. Like I said, they've been very competitive. Been one of the perennial powerhouse teams in 7A. And like I said, that's what we strive to be that one day. Like I said, so we have a great opportunity to go out and test our manhood, test the will of test. To kind of see where we're at, but also realize who we are and what we are, and just continue to be competitive as we can come out and just play. Both teams are going to play their game. Like I said, it's homecoming for them, so I know they'll be excited about that. But we're excited to definitely step up to the challenge and play against a ranked opponent in the state, as a notoriety team as they are.
Yeah, but I saw you guys had, I think, 6 sacks in the North Atlanta game. I think Ty Holiday had a big game against South Cobb. I mean, who else on kind of that defensive line, a linebacking core that's been able to put pressure, be disruptive, and play great defense?
Gotcha. Well, I definitely start, like I said, Ty Holiday, Renardo Lewis up front for us. Like I said, on that defensive line, like I said, Julian Stevenson, who's the mainstay, he's the middle linebacker. Julian's probably been starting at some position for us here at Wheeler since he was a 9th grader. So like I said, definitely holding down from that aspect of it. In the secondary, of course, I mentioned him earlier, Jesse Santos, and you have Justin Wilson as well, and Bryce Cottrell playing for us as well in that secondary, like I said, and holding things down for us.
Awesome. Yeah, Julian Stevenson came out 12 tackles week 1, tackle for loss. It looks like Jesse's had some interceptions, so got your guys back on defense too. Well, Coach, I'm really excited, and as I said, the rivalry's back on. I'm glad you guys are in this region with Walton again. That's where they put you guys, and I think it's a great opportunity. So best of luck the rest of the season and into the future, Coach. Really appreciate you coming on.
Most definitely. Thank you all for having us. Like I said, appreciate what you do for high school football. Thank you.
Yep, stay locked in. All right. We'll see you later, Coach. All right, so that was awesome. Really interesting to watch what Wheeler's able to do in this region. You mentioned the 4 games remaining: North Cobb, Osborne, Kennesaw Mountain, and Walton. So they're going to be fighting in that to get a playoff spot. One of the many exciting games in Class 7A this year. We will, of course, be at the Kell-Cambridge game, another epic region game in 5A. Kell's undefeated. 5A looks pretty wide open right now, and Cambridge – very winnable games in their 2 losses. They very well could have been undefeated heading into this matchup. They're going to want to get that big victory. I think they can compete with anyone. They play hard, they're competitive, and then what Kell's been able to do this year, really impressive. So that'll be a fun one to watch. It will kick off 8 o'clock. We'll have all these other scores updated throughout it. And you can go to scoreatl.com and check out our game previews, our rankings, all the stuff we have going on there. And we will be back on Friday to do it again. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a good one.